Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, parents. Good evening, our guest speakers for today's outing. Good evening, friends and well-wishers. And good evening, everybody. As you're joining us today, we are going to take a look at yet another interesting episode of our educational drill. It is something that we have been doing for some time now. And today's topic is going to be on sexuality, the role of parents in the education of their boys' sexuality. And so, permit me to introduce Father Innocent, who will be leading us in the opening prayer. So that then we'll commit this gathering into the able hands of God. Father, good evening.
Good evening. In the name of the Father, and Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Almighty and ever-living God, we thank you for this day. And we ask you to send us your Spirit to assist us and to grant us the gift of counsel so that we may listen to the talks, So it may be something that benefits us and also may be for the glory of your name. We receive this through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen. Thank you, Father Innocent, for those kind words to commit the gathering into the hands of God. And so I'll begin first by making a brief introduction of our speakers so that then all participants will know the people who are going to be giving us a talk, giving us a light on the selected topic this evening. We don't want to assume that everybody knows our speakers. So I'll begin by introducing Father Innocent. Briefly, Father Innocent is the spiritual director at Wyson School. He has been part of our experience here at Wyson. He has been interacting with the boys, giving counsel, and of course, being a part of making sure that we have daily masses at Wyson School. We welcome Father Innocent. And then Mr. Joshua Nwachukwu is the director rather of South Creek Center at Lekki. He has also had experiences with boys during especially times when we have holiday engagements and other activities involving boys at Wyson School. Joshua Nwachukwu, yes. So he is the director of South Creek Study Center of Opus Dei. He also has a vast experience with boys. And I'm emphasizing this because, it's good for us to know why these speakers were selected to be a part of or to lead this conversation. They are ably qualified to take us through the series of conversation we'll be having this evening. So in rounds, Father Innocent will go first. He is going to take us on the general concept of sexuality, to also touch on the role of parents in this regard. When he is done, we will have Mr. Joshua Nwachukwu, who will take us on the path to the use of internet and the role of parents in educating their children with regards to the use of internet when it comes to boys' sexuality. And so if you have questions, I would appeal that you pen them down so that we can have a seamless engagement while the speakers do due diligence to the topic this evening. So I'll open the floor for the Innocent Uwakwe.
Do you allow me to share screen? Yeah. Okay. I welcome you this evening to this talk. It's we're all on the process of learning how to communicate to our children the basic facts of life, in this case, the sexual dimension of the human person. So let's start with some of the difficulties that parents face when it comes to sexual education. The first thing is, how do you prepare a child for adult life? Is it only, to, give go to school and all that, and then how to make money, all that? So what about the essential things about the person? So that is where because some parents have not even learned from their own parents the basic things. So everything is left for people to learn from just just jump into it, and that's it. Now, we'll face a more particular challenge in our culture, the modern culture, with respect to the fundamental values that regards the human person and the family, the whole. So before all this in the past, the general culture helps because there's understanding about the human person, about what sexuality is about, and that sex is something that is sacred and all that. So, but the modern culture lacks the tool for this thing. So, and then, well, it becomes very difficult to face this. Now, in giving the children adequate preparation for adult life, particularly when it comes to this, so the parents have to do a lot to learn on their own how to face the culture that often is adverse when it regards to the human person and in particular to sexuality. So now the greater part of society, whether developing or developed countries, the traditional values and models of life, is no longer there. So we don't just think that things are there. It's find a situation where that we are in a new pagan society. So some of the values that are supposed to be there are no longer there. So many people don't even believe in God. People don't believe what human person is. So that's one of the things that we face. So in the olden times, people still, well, make an attempt to have some inclination, worship the divine. But in this case, that you find in the modern culture that people clearly states that I don't believe in God. So not believing in God is, what about me? Where do I come from? And where do the human person come from? So the parents find themselves in this situation. How do you communicate to children that they have lost sense of the roots, the human roots, where we come from and where we are going? So is it everything just this world, you eat, drink, have good education, make money, and then after that, what? You have children, and after that, what? So everything just ends in this world. So that becomes a big issue. Now, to worsen the situation, there's what we call an eclipse of the truth about man. If I sample all of us here now and ask, who is a man? What is a man and who is a man? If I ask that question, many of us will just give different answers and all that. But if we don't get it correctly, we cannot even understand this thing we are talking about, sex education and all that. So, and then because of that, eclipse of the truth about man, it mounts a lot of pressure when it comes to sex, sexual education, and then reduces sex to something that is just commonplace, something you can even purchase, and that's it. It's like a commodity. There's nothing attached to it, no nothing. So, so when that happens, so the wrong notion about man, the human person, will affect adversely all the things that have to do with sex. Then the media often present the image of man as just an individual that has freedom. But that freedom is just for me. I have this power, it's just for me to exercise it. And then this freedom is not related with the truth. So when the human person says, okay, you are defined by what you have and I don't know, the money you have, your bank account and all that. And then you are free if you have the money, if you have the means, you can do whatever you like and all that. And then, well, do whatever you like. What about the other people? So we just exist, or we don't coexist with the others. And then what about family? What is a family? And then say, no, family now depends on what I think. As we see, family is no longer families, families. Talking about man and man, woman and woman, with the child they adopt, or children that adopt, and also now extending it to even man and dog, or woman and cat, and all that. So all these distorted image affects a lot in the concept of freedom, because freedom is a power that man uses in order to build himself or to destroy himself. So we have to see it in that way. Then some of these difficulties that parents encounter, now they can't even discuss these issues with their kids and all that, or they don't have they say, what happened? They transfer it to the school. And often the school cannot provide the adequate setting to educate that, because in the school, I mean, there are things that the knowledge about life and the thing of all the things that have to do with self-giving, acceptance, and all that. All these are the things that could be channeled in the context of the family. So the schools sometimes have programs that are just merely informative, to inform about this, and then maybe just even to extent of what you call the biological reductionism. So sexual education is just a description of the sexual organs and the performance of the sexual organs and all that. But all these things are just like a disintegrated human person. It's not a composite. It's just something that is like the organs. It doesn't affect the whole person. And it's just something you describe. So that's flaw that you find when it comes to school. The school can have something, but it's not everything. Okay. Now, one of the things that here, all of us be open to the truth. Ask questions. So that one need to ask questions. So it's not just talking about what is sex. Sometimes people talk a lot about sex, but what exactly is sex? What is sex? So that's the truth about and the meaning of sex. So all these things that have to be in the integrated in the framework of genuine and rich anthropology, the knowledge of man. So sex has to be integrated in that knowledge. Who is man? Who is man? So, and how Jesus Christ put it to Pilate, said, everyone who is of the truth hears my voice. So if you're the truth, if you're interested in the truth, you will know what is the right thing to do. And then based on that, you can now know how to offer that education to the children. So one, first of all, open to the truth, open to what God wants, with respect to that. And so some fundamental truths about sex. The first thing is, love is a gift of God. Love is a gift of God. So we are created for love, and then we all have it, passion. We want to love. In fact, when we find ourselves, our love is rejected, there's something that like we're affected. So that love, which is a gift of God, is nourished and expressed in the encounter between a man and a woman. And it's something that is absolutely positive, that has to be trained, has to be nurtured and directed towards the maturity of the person. So the true love is something that develops the persons, the man and the woman. So true love is not what one takes advantage of. No, it is a gift that there is a language of gift when it comes to love. I give, and the other person has said, but I give because I know what I'm giving. I know what I'm giving. So if I don't know what is the gift, what I'm giving, and then how will I expect that person, the other person, to accept this gift? So it is something that is precious, precious. It's a precious source of self-giving. But self-giving, that means I possess myself. I know who I am. So if I know that I'm created by love and for love, and then all my life, the way I talk, the way I look at people, the way I relate with people, has to be that someone that knows, there's a knowledge. And without that knowledge, you can't even talk about love, really. If one doesn't know, you can't give to someone that is not capable of understanding the gifts you are offering. Because in this case, the whole thing about love, sex, and this, that you are offering your whole self to the other person. And that is, on the biological terms, the cells, the ovum, and the spermatozoa. In the speech of the sperm cells contains everything about the man. His head, his height, everything, his color, everything about that man, the person, is inside each of the spermatozoa. And the same thing with the ovum. The egg of the woman contains everything about the woman, everything. So that in that action of giving of oneself to the other, is that the other person is capable of accepting, not accepting with reservation, not accepting, okay, I take some, and then no, because in the sperm, the language you are speaking is that I'm giving myself entirely. And that's why the Catholic will says that sex should be only within marriage where two people have already committed themselves to accept the other person entirely without putting conditions. So the language that in the cellular level you are speaking, it has to be also be expressed in all the gestures that refers to this. And so that's actually here, say I put, you cannot give what you don't have. That's what Jesus said. Well, you can't give if you don't have yourself, if you don't possess yourself, you can't really give yourself to the other. So that's why it's so vital in the context of the family that the children learn these things. Now, the human person is a man, expressed as a man or woman, is called to love, but is called to love as an incarnate spirit. Is a spirit that is incarnate in a body. So it's not just saying, I love you, just like married couples, they on their wedding day, they go to church and then they say, oh, I take you. Fine, those are words, those are beautiful. I take you. And the other one say, oh, I take you too. And then everybody thinks fine. But that is not complete, because you just say it with your mouth, you just say like he's no vocalizing the expression of the spirit. But that I take you is not expressed, incarnate, because bodily expression, when the two of them unite in a sexual intercourse. So in that language of the sexual intercourse, they are now saying, truly, what I said in the church is, this is what I mean. I take you, everything about you. And then the other person will say, good, I too take you, everything about you. So that is how a man is. It's not I love you. I love you have to be expressed with deed, physical. Physical has to be expressed through the body. The body is like, okay, fine, you say this is, but I want the body also to say the same. So if not, everything will just remain at the level of spiritual, or the other opposite will be that everything will just be purely biological. There is nothing about the spirit there. So I am doing something, the interaction between the sexual organs of the two sexes. Then, but the spirit is not saying the same. So there it becomes like a dichotomy. that the body is saying one thing, but the spirit of the soul is saying something different. So that's becomes what obviously is for me. What I look at sex as a language is like a language is just for example, smile. You smile. When you smile, you can fake a smile. So the same thing happens with sex. So when the body and the spirit are not speaking the same language, so what happens that someone is faking it? So that man, woman speaks the language that is the body and the spirit are saying the same thing. What I'm doing in this sexual intercourse, what I'm doing is that I'm saying, I take you, everything about you. And that's it. So the body is saying the same, the spirit is saying the same. So that's because the main communication of the truth. So it's within the family context that this is, I love you. A child from the time he or she was born and then began to see that my parents, they say they love me, they take care of me, they shelter me, they give me food, they care for me. Everything about my life, they care for me. So when they say they love me, it's not just, oh, they pay school fees for me, but they are not there for me. So a dichotomy, oh, you love me, but maybe you are paying school fees so that I graduate and become a graduate, so that you want to have children who are graduate. That's fine. But the child said, but these people are not close to me. And one of the things that the children, wife, that's why I work and I notice. So you find children, when they're in GSS1, they love language that their parents used to give them when they were in primary school. As they are going towards teenage, adolescence, that language changes. And then the parents are surprised. I cannot communicate to my kid anymore because what I used to do and is over. Because things have changed. So you have to learn the new ways of communicating to the child. The new love language that the child has developed. So sometimes it could be touch, it could be gift, it could be, spending time and all, quality time and all that. So always, all these things are things as well. So when you say you love, the body, the actions also have to match up with that. Good. So now, the use of sexuality as physical giving has its own truth and reaches its full meaning when it expresses the personal giving of man and woman, even unto death. And so that's when you say, I take you, and then one start putting conditions. And so one of the big problems that parents of the faces is that the children see this person that said some years ago, I take you without condition, but now, how come they are divorced? How come they are separated? They so love each other sometime, and then they do not love anymore. So it is a love, the concept of love is conditioned. So, but I love you have within itself an inner message that say, until that, that I cannot stop loving you within time, that it has to be until that. So when the children start experiencing this, then what happens? They begin to suspect their parents because when they see the parents quarreling, so one of the things that they are going to separate or they are going to divorce and all that. So these are also some dangers in communicating these things. So the language, the use of sexuality is something that points to personal giving of man and woman, even unto death. So we face the situation that in this our world today, love itself, sex itself, is exposed to the frailty brought about by original sin. And frailty experienced today in so many social cultural contexts, like what I'm saying about a song called Just Allow Divorce, all this kind of things, separations and all that, for whatever reason and all that. So then, so that one have to understand this, that is a wound. I want to love, but there is a wound within me. I want to love the other person, but the other person is also wounded. So that one has to know that this is the danger that we face. And so it's not something, the romantic love or telenovela love that you say, is not true. That is a problem. And so that when you now talk about that, say this frailty is suffers, I am selfish. I'm working on my selfishness. So the children, they also grow up with their selfishness that you, in communicating to them, understand that they're selfish. And I need to help them that this is the effect of sin. So it's not just normal thing. So when a parent begin to, indolent about selfishness, you are saying that you don't prepare this child. I don't want this child to love in the future. So that when we see all those wounds of sin, original sin, and all that, we have to work on it. How do you then practice chastity? Here we say there is wounds, but at the same time, the Christian who is baptized, every Christian who is baptized, also has his wound, but also has the power of healing within himself. The adolescent, with all their trouble, with all this, that child is someone that is wounded, but at the same time is redeemed. So not to forget this. So is capable of making things new. Has made mistakes, has fallen, have all this, but is capable of getting up. So that the practice of chastity that you find in the whole context of temperance, that is a virtue that helps us to moderate the appetites of eating, drinking, and the sexual appetites, temperance. So somebody who cannot moderate eating habit or drinking habit will find it extremely difficult when it comes to sex. So the children are taught from the beginning not to overindulge in drinking. It's not all the time, I want to drink this, I want to drink, you just eat. I want to eat, you just indulge. No, they have to start learning how to moderate. So the temperance is not a question of capacity. I have the capacity of drinking 10 bottles of beer and no shaking. That's your capacity. But you have to exercise that power with moderation, in the sense that you want to remain free, not to be a slave to a power that you have. So that the children continue learning these things, even from the things that's time for television, or time for play, time for this, time for study, time for sleep, time for this. All these things are how parents start teaching the children about temperance. You have to moderate. You have the capacity to watch movie till the following morning, or you have the capacity to indulge in watching football for hours and hours because you're on holidays and all that. That is killing, because you have to teach, moderate. You have the power, you have the capacity. Does not mean that you have to now overindulge. So, because if they don't learn this, how are they going to practice chastity? How are they going to control this power, this natural power that God has attached to sex, sexual expression? So they have to learn how to moderate themselves. That's what the parents are there for, to watch and help and guide. So again, it's enough. You have watched enough. You have slept enough. Oh, because you're on holidays, you can now sleep for 12 hours. No, that's not right. Because you have to get up and do something. You have to work, have to start learning how to do things and all that. Okay. Now, So chastity also is not understood as a repressive attitude. So something that you just, don't look at pornography, don't look at this, don't look at this video, don't look at it, don't. So the child becomes like a pressure cooker that one day explodes and then do something tremendous. So it is a training on how to harness that power, manage it, channel it to a good. So it's not something that you just repress, because the power one day is just explode, as happens. Okay, because maybe wives are, oh, I don't pick girls, so I see boys. So I see boys, and then I start doing things with boys and all this kind of thing. So there is the control, the control. The example that some speakers on this topic they use, for example, I can come to this keyboard, piano. I can just spontaneously, I don't know how to play piano. I just press the keyboards and that, and then produce noise. But a pianist who has trained for years can come at the same time to the keyboard and then play just spontaneously, and then that's it. Produce melody. And that is what also we want to achieve in how to use the sexual power, how to manage it. It is a control, it's a moderation. To use that force for something. It has to be channeled to some good. What are you doing with your sexual power? What are you doing with it? What? Where? What's the outlet? You are channeling it to something to do good for other people. So it's not just to repress it. So chastity should always be understood as purity and temporary stewardship. So in the case of the children, adolescents, so temporary stewardship. I'm guarding something, a precious and rich gift of love. I'm guarding it for something. So if the parents are not able to help the children to understand that, yes, your sexual organs are developed, you can have sex. Sex, yes, because your organs are developed and all that. But you have to guard it as a gift you are going to give to someone in the future. Or at this stage, you are guarding this gift that God has given you. And then I want you to give it to God. So that if we don't see it, that I possess this power, I possess this gift that God has given me, and I want to use it, offer it to the person that is capable of accepting it. So if not, the whole thing will just be, oh, it's just I have this power and then I get. No, it's a gift because I'm giving myself to someone who is ready to accept me and accept me as who I am. Because if you don't accept me as well, you are going to accept me as an object that you are going to use. And when you are tired, you are going to discard me. And for human person, that attitude is non-acceptable. So chastity does seem like a spiritual energy that is capable of defending love from the perils of selfishness and the aggressiveness, and are also able to advance towards its full realization. So it's an energy. You have it or you don't have it. The other day I was in school, I was telling the staff that some years ago, two brothers. So one, the junior brother, was explaining to me. One day he was studying with the senior brother, and also in my sons. Two of them have telephones. And the senior brother was studying and he was watching. His senior brother's phone will ring or text messages will come, but he will never pick it. And then he himself that was beside him, he whenever his own rings, he will pick. Wherever his text message comes in, he will also pick. And then answer. So he was telling me, what is the difference? Why can't I be like my senior brother? So that is what we are talking about, spiritual energy. You either have it or you don't have it. The capacity that, yes, you have the power to pick up the phone, and also you have the power of not picking it. So you have the inner power. It's not a question of putting filters and all this, avoiding all this. Yes, all these are prudent measures. But if it does not come from inside, it doesn't work. The same thing with us adults. The same. Either you have the spiritual energy capable of defending the love you have, or it falls prey to selfishness and aggressiveness. So, the Catechism of the Catholic Church explains chastity as a successful integration of sexuality within the person. Here, when you talk about the person, you are talking about the subject of actions, of all the actions that this human individual does. All of them there's one subject. So when sexuality as a power is not under the control of the person, control of the good of the person, it says something is wrong. So that's why the next line will talk about inner unity of man in his bodily and spiritual being. So it maintains unity within the person. So the sexuality as a power is integrated. So it's not okay, I'm studying, my sexual power is saying, oh no, you cannot study, you have to go and do something, because if not, you die, So the person is disintegrated, so it's not a unity. So the tendency is to maintain that harmony within the person. So we can spend a lot of time explaining this, but from the look of things, we don't have much time. So then we'll go to the next. So here I've mentioned some of the things that can be helpful for parents. The education in temperance, education in fortitude, especially now, in this case, fortitude, trained to be strong. To be strong is not a question of, fighting somebody and then boxing some. The main part of fortitude is patience. Because St. Paul talks about love is patient, because love had to endure, had to wait, had to know how to wait. But the opposite is lust. Lust cannot wait. Lust must grab, want to look for things to grab and all that. So, but when it comes to love, it's capable of waiting. I have this power, but I can wait. So when you begin to teach the children self-mastery, to dominate, delayed gratifications, in dance. Okay, you have this chocolate, but you are not going to finish the chocolate. Okay, we have cake. We're not going to finish the cake today. We can finish it tomorrow, or we can finish it next week. Delayed gratification. Teach all these things. It's not just a question of indulging everybody, adult and children. They see in the adult how you also delay, how master, especially when it comes all the things of anger. All these things are affecting the way you transmit the knowledge about chastity, because everything that's renouncing the self, making sacrifices, learning how to wait, all these are very important when it comes to chastity. To doing things for the others, being a servant of the others and all that. Now, so it is imperative on your part, as the children are growing up, to start educating them, teach them about love, what is the family, what family is all about, what's the plan of God for families, and then the dignity of married life, with all its challenges. It has dignity. It's something that resembles, as St. Paul says, sacramentum manum, that is a great sacrament, that is something that in the visible form expresses what is the relationship between Christ and the church. And so that they're married, so the union between husband and wife, it has a lot to play, a lot to help the children to understand the role of the connection between Christ and the church. And each one of us, and we're talking about church, we're talking each one of us as Christ faithful. His role, he will never abandon us. His love is forever, it's eternal, non-conditioned. He accepts me the way I am and all that. So also teach the children, just like the way you do, you accept them with all their flaws, with all their problems. Sometimes they challenge your authority and all that, and you still accept them, and they live in your house and all this. So all these things are how, in practical terms, you are transmitting to them that love is unconditional. I love you. I don't put condition. I don't put condition that I will love you only when you behave well, only when you pass exams and all these type of things. So, so those are things that you begin to practice. And then when it comes to sexual the chastity, explain what is context, what does it mean? So good. Now, for parents that in giving life, God called you to cooperate with Him in the creative power. So that's it helps a lot that you have a lot of responsibility. So it's not the what God gave to you, and the responsibility is not only to just teach them things, material, solve the material needs of them, but at the same time you are going to pass to them all the treasure that is embedded in the dignity of the human person. Who is a human person? By the life that you live, you pass it on to them. And then that becomes like the tradition that they follow. So, but if the parents are not capable, only pass the, oh, we make money and then we have this or we have this, means all these are fine. But the other things, okay, this child that I'm training today, is it a child, is it somebody that in the future can maintain unity in marriage? Or maintain a relationship that will last? So you ask yourself, what kind of training? Challenges. Some challenges. The first one that we in this award that we face is what I describe as materialistic hedonism. Hedonism talks about pleasure. So the first thing is reducing man to just matter. There's nothing spirit, nothing. So a concept of this, when it comes to sex, is we just have it, it's just fun, we have fun, and that is it. Nothing attached, no commitment, nothing. We just want pleasure, and that is it. And then all these things coupled with the problem that came with sexual revolution, the introduction of pills, the introduction of contraceptives. So that now what happened is, okay, just remove the consequences of sex, but it's not possible. You can't remove the consequences of sex. But, it is there. The human beings, whether you like it or not, you treat it yourself like matter, material, but there's something there. There's something, there's language spoken, there's eyes, there's looks and all that. So it cannot just be reduced to, so the culture that we find is totally materialistic, and then pleasure loving, worship pleasure. So there's, you see here all the things that, why will a couple after having sexual intercourse and they say that, oh, unconditional, and then go ahead to kill the child and all this. So it is capable that love that does not relate with life. And for us Christians, for example, it's okay, God is love, God is life, God is one, God is unity. So in the sexual intercourse, all these things come into play. You love, that love is going to lead to life and is going to lead to unity between the two persons. And then also unity with the possible offspring. It's not all the time that you have the sexual relation that a child comes. But one has to know that that's for a Christian, somebody who believes in God, that all this, God is love, God is life, God is truth. God is one and all that. All these things that we learn. And later, the man is an image of God. And all these things have to come into play. If not, you are talking about a purely materialistic type of relationship. So all these things, we live in a society that is sick, and because of not understanding what man is, and a lot of distortions with respect to man and all that. So it's a question of recovery. So with that, what happened that many people cannot adequately comprehend the real meaning of the gifts of persons in marriage. Then the sexual act cannot understand why it must be for life. It must be something commitment. So when that is not, you have to look at the basic thing that man is not understood. And that when people don't understand themselves, so their actions also will reflect their lack of understanding in that. So encouragement, that also for Christians we have grace, so we are not alone in the struggle. Parents, you are not alone. You know your children, they come from you, and you have the grace of stake to help them. So when you think that the child is, you are not getting it, you have the grace of state. You know how to communicate, you know how to say things to them. And that's why the training is not something that you abandon for some people, leave it in the hands of some teachers and have some gaps, especially when the children are in the teenage years. Okay, 3 months, I don't see the child, I don't. So you are breaking communications. So don't be surprised that the two of you live in this time, but you cannot communicate because the person has grown some things and acquires new habits and all that. So, but you still have the grace to assist the Lord in this. So the man, image of God. So all the thing that we are talking about is when we look at man, who is man? What the Bible tells us is image of God. And who is God? God is love and all that. God is truth. God does not lie. So in the sexual relationship, there should not introduce lie. So somebody who habitually lies cannot understand sexual intercourse because the person is going to lie. So in the image that we have is the image of truth. So in all our actions, we express. So in training the child that look, sex, this is what it's saying. So you cannot tell lies when it comes to that. So that we find the meaning of the whole thing, freedom and all that. So I have to go the entire thing. Well, then the person that is capable of a higher kind of love than concupiscence, which only sees objects as a means to satisfy one's appetites. The person is capable rather of friendship and self-giving. And so that's what we want to rise above the man of or woman of concupiscence, who understands, they decide, this is what I want, this is what I need, I want this, and then I go for that, and then, well, it cannot really go too far with that. So we have to rise above the man or the woman of concupiscence. So the demand is loved by God. So it's a demanding love which respects and builds for the person, because love is true when it creates the good of persons and the communities. It creates that good and gives it to others. So those are the things that, based on our knowledge of God, so this again is, how do you transmit the worship of God? How does it translate in the day-to-day living in the house? That love, that church you go to, how is it translated in the life of the God? So it's something demanding. You cannot say that you love God, and then you come at home, there's a dichotomy. Husband and wife, they're fighting, they're quarreling all constantly, and the children are watching that. I mean, that's not the image of God. That's not the image of God. So when you now start talking about love that is unconditional, and I'll say, but your one is not is conditioned. You love today, tomorrow you don't love, because tomorrow you are angry, you are fighting, and all this kind of thing. So, we are called to true love, and that is demanding. It requires many times that we have to give up so many rights in order to maintain unity. So human sexuality, so to also this to explain that it forms part of what God on creation looked at and said it was very good. And so not to present sexuality as something you don't talk about, as something that there is no. So often I say that the children, when they say, oh, daddy and mommy are always fighting, but only what they do in the bedroom is fine. So they see that married life, the only thing that is good is what you do inside the bedroom. And that is a real problem. So that here, insofar as it is a way of relating and being open to others, sexual has love as its intrinsic end. So that love had to be expressed through the sexual intercourse and all that. So when it is not expressed, then obviously you are passing a wrong message. The other one is here, the intent and the meaning of gifts is lacking, sexuality. So one has not appreciated what is gifts. Then the main problem there is the civilization of things and not of persons take over. So the dominion of, objectification of the human person, reducing the person to like, paying somebody to have sex and all that. So that's civilization of things. So it's no longer person. It's no longer an end in itself and all that. So these are the things that we have to work on to create a civilization in which persons are not used in the same way as things are used, and not considered, oh, that you are just there because I need you and all that. That what you want is, okay, I paid you for sex. Sometimes men also say these things. Oh, after all, I paid you a bride price. So I paid you a bride price, therefore you must give me sex and all that. That's actually say, oh, I paid you a bride price. So you are what? The bride price and all that. No, that's wrong. The children, they hear these things, and then obviously you will not be surprised that the message you are passing is that the human person is, how much can I pay for you and all that. So that's the whole culture of utilitarianism, reducing the human person to mere object. Okay, so that's we end with this, that we're incarnate spirits, our soul, body formed an immortal spirit and all that. So love includes the human body. The body is made a sharer in the spiritual love. So to love is not something just in the air. It has to come down, incarnate. God loved us, and He sent His Son, Jesus Christ, to as body, as He came and lived with us and all that. So the same thing, so that the married couples, what they do, their life, everything. So the conjugal love. So it's not just sex, it's not just sexual impact. The conjugal love are the things that explains the beauty of the sexual intercourse. So if we now can fall into the whole problem that the modern culture is creating. So it's not just the sexual intercourse. How do I enjoy the intercourse? Because the most important, you're not talking about the friendship between the man and the woman. You're not talking about, how to grow in your life. So everything, joy is synonymous to pleasure. And that's the model, the modern culture. And it's good. I said, so how to enhance the maximum pleasure? So you're not enhancing who I am in this. So because I want maximum pleasure, I'm ready to be unfaithful in my marriage. Oh, my husband is the 3-minute man, therefore I am justified to go. So You are looking for pleasure. You are not looking for joy. The same thing with the man. Oh, my woman is not satisfying me. Therefore, so all these things as the change in what the heart of man craves for. He's craving for love. He's craving for joy. It's not pleasure. He's not craving for. He can get pleasure after he is still sad. After the pleasure has gone, you come back to the reality of the man that goes to drink in order to solve the problem. After drinking, you get booze and all that. When you wake up, the problem still remains. It does not solve it. So the modern is trying to confuse you. Say that what you want is pleasure. But no, what the human heart craves for is what? Joy, not pleasure. Not pleasure. So, and that is something that comes when there's harmony in the relationship. Everything, the one hand that washes the other hand and all that. So it makes life beautiful. Sorry, I'm taking your time. I think I will stop here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Father Innocent, for the insightful words. Before I invite Mr. Joshua Nwachukwu to take on the next round of conversation, I'd like to encourage our viewers on YouTube to please indicate their questions by typing in their questions in the live chat box, and we can read them out to our speakers so that those questions can be attended to. For those of you who are here with us on Zoom, during the Q&A session, you can indicate by raising your hand. There are emojis that, satisfy that very intention. Or you can as well type your questions in the chat that is for the co-hosts. And of course, you can be sure that we'll read them out to our speakers. Gentlemen, ladies, I invite Mr. Joshua Nwachukwu to take us around the next phase of the conversation we're having this evening. Father Innocent has done so well. I guess your questions are ready so that when we get to Q&A, you have the questions rolling in. Thank you. Mr. Nwachukwu.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Can you kindly confirm you can see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, good evening, everyone. So my name is Joshua Nwachukwu. It's an honor to be here today to share with you some experiences. So today's topic is about, my own topic is trying to raise boys in the tech age and also the role of parents. So today I'll try to share my experiences from 4 different perspectives. One, being a millennial. I remember I got my first computer probably in 1998 or 7. And interestingly, we even got a lesson teacher to even teach us how to use a computer. So that's the first experience of being a millennial. Secondly, I'll share experiences also from being in South Creek. I'm the director of Star Creek Center. Star Creek is a center for boys, and we deal with boys, young professionals, and fathers. I've been here for 10 years. On the average, so we deal with 100 boys yearly. So we can say that, okay, so that is at least 1,000 young fellows that have passed through the center. Also, I also share experiences from the legal sector, so being a lawyer, and also obviously, so deal with crimes that have come through the internet and also devices. And lastly, as a brother, I have 6 brothers. Two of my brothers are in university and one is in SS3. So basically, to show you that I also know about these issues that we're going to be discussing about. So this is just a teaser. Normally, I prefer seminars over webinars. I remember someone was told that was going to be a webinar. I was not so happy because I prefer to be with people, see people's faces, and also to get their reactions. For example, because this is virtual, I didn't even know probably the parents who are long gone, probably their young parents or old parents. It's really difficult to even know how to tailor the conversation. But basically, before I start, I just want to share with us some things I like to share with parents. There's a legal maxim that says delegatus non potest delegare. It basically means that we cannot delegate some things that we've been given the power to take care of. And I want to trace it down to parenting. I'm saying that parenting cannot be delegated. As such, parents have to find the secret formula for each child, in the sense that each child is different. You may have 4 kids or 5 kids or 2 kids. They can be boys, they can be twins. They are different, and they have each have a secret formula for the parents to deal with them. And to achieve this, parents have to invest in finding and perfecting that principle. The other external actors, like the grandparents, families, schools, nannies, neighbors, church members, teachers, are there to provide support and not to usurp their role as parents. I think the reason why this is important is because many times when some parents complain about the bad habits of their children, for example, with tech, I always tell them that they, as parents, have contributed in one way or the other to these bad habits. For example, I'll give you maybe some examples. When we have seen parents give or buy phones for their kids, phones that sometimes even very expensive, and then the kids don't even know how to even use a phone, and they even play with the phone. For example, you go to someone's house, for example, and then you can see a child, probably a 12 years old guy, trying to get probably the parents' attention, and they say, "I better take this phone. Leave me alone, go and play." So right from young age already, these parents are the ones who introduce their kids to these gadgets, because for them it was a tool for let me walk, let me be, and things like that. So parents indirectly have somehow given their kids these gadgets quite early to distract them from trying to affect their work. Also, I always say that children require our presence, not necessarily our presence. This also goes to show that because of we don't have the time to be with them, we then have to compensate for the absence by giving them things. They have all the games, the PlayStation, all the gadgets. Take, just leave me alone, basically. But I'm saying that they require our presence and not necessarily our presence. Now, in saying this, I'm very much aware that parents are extremely busy, and those in places like Lagos, obviously, so you have the traffic, the chaos. I understand perfectly well. But at the same time, too, I think we have to think back and think of how can we prioritize the things that are most important to us. Because we, despite our schedule of work and things, still make many social commitments and even engagement and even official things because of the importance they have to us. And then to make it worse for parents, I will say that we don't have a school for parents. Many of us went to university to study. Some of us even have masters, PhD, and even while we're working, we're even learning. And even sometimes we will have conferences, continuous learning and continuous professional training to help us to be professional for the things that we're doing. However, when it comes to parenting, nobody is actually trained to be a parent in that sense. Hence, the work is enormous compared to a professional work. Secondly, if you invest in your children, you don't need to invest for them. When you speak with parents, so basically they're all trying to say, okay, fine, so working hard to get money to invest for them, to do this one, to leave them property and things. I'm saying, yeah, beautiful is very good. But then if we invest in these kids, they can be able to, on their own, do the things they want to do. Most parents who are in their 50s and 60s came from some came from even very poor homes, or maybe public or middle class homes, but then they've all managed to build something for themselves. Hence, I think that if we invest in our children, at least give them the whole right principles, they will be able to see how they can also keep that for themselves. For parents, I will try to encourage, please try to be parents to your children and not their friend, and be less concerned about them liking you. So basically, I'm just trying to go through some nuggets that will help us for the presentation. So nowadays, so having many parents trying to be friends, okay, let me give my G. I'm not saying that parents have to be authoritarian to their kids or try to be demigods and kids cannot try to approach. I'm just saying that a parent still needs to do that. He's a parent. Sometimes he can even be double or triple the child's age, and he has the moral authority over the child. Hence, he also has to know how to blend authority and friendship. But the key should not be, let me be cool with my kids. Let my kids like me, because that's what sometimes we hear some parents trying to achieve. Let my child like me, and the things like that. And then the kids know that it's all fake, and they will still know what to do when they want to do that. Also, we also have to please avoid helicopter parenting. In the quest of trying to ensure that kids grow up alright and grow up to be good boys and girls, we always want to hover around them to ensure that, okay, tell me what you're doing. Okay, so you're trying to be like a helicopter, basically, trying to maneuver. And then we know, so when you watch films a lot, and then you know that obviously the helicopters can't even go to many places and they can't even see much. So it's something that we have to try to avoid. Then, very importantly, may we raise children that can survive in the world without you. And I always tell parents that many times, obviously, most kids finish secondary school at 16, 18 years old, and they have to go to university. And then, at least for those in Lagos who have the means, their kids go abroad, they even go to schools in Nigeria, but to different states, even sometimes 12 hours away from where their parents are living. And then you can sense the fear that the parents have for their kids to leave them. And I always ask them, why are you so scared? Probably because you have not trained your kids to be able to survive without you. You even have parents even relocating to join their kids so they can be with them in university. So these are things that we also have to think about. Then lastly, I think that parenting cannot be delegated or suspended for a while as we work for fame or fortune. So this is something that we see people doing. Okay, let me work and things like that. Then part of this helicopter parenting, which also has the bearing on why the kids have been addicted to tech, is the fact that many parents have discouraged outdoor events. Previously, you had kids on the streets. Yeah, they will tell you safety, but even in places where they haven't gates, you rarely see kids in parks or even riding bicycles. So we have reduced outdoor activities. Hence, we are now forcing these kids to be indoors. And when they are indoors, they have to do something. Like we know nature abhors battling. So hence they fall back to their devices. So I will skip some things because of time. Now, so before we start, I just want to give this disclaimer. There is no secret formula for raising kids. No 10 easy steps. Sometimes we want, okay, give me the answers, tell me what to do. And I always say raising human beings isn't like baking a cake or fixing a flat tire. Because, for example, now somebody may ask me, okay, what's the age for a child to use smartphone? Is it 5 years old? Is it 10 years old or 20 years old? So really, there's no secret formula for these things. You may have opinions, but then the main thing is that each child is different and each child should be catered for differently. So there's no one size fits all rule for that. Now, when we come to tech, we realize that we have digital migrants and the digital natives and the digital ignorant or indifferent. Sorry, that's going to be indifferent, not indifferent. So most parents are digital migrants in the sense that these are people who were not born with tech. So they came into tech and they had to learn it. I remember the switch from typewriter to computer, the difficulty in moving from typewriter to computer. And we saw with COVID how we had to move to virtual. People had difficulty with virtual meetings and Zoom meetings and all kinds of things we had to do online. So so many parents fall into the digital migrant. Now we also have parents who are also digital ignorant. So that now for the digital migrants, you may have those, okay, probably because of their corporate work and because of probably they went to the school or they went to university, they have to be techie. So they have to use the computer and things like that. So these are people who are learning how to be digital. You also have people who don't need tech, for example. They may have a phone, but they're just good with, okay, I can make a call. So, sometimes they even call their kids, they even call someone for them or save source number for them. So these are people who are generally not interested in all the functionalities. Then you have the digital natives. So these are people who are born into the digital world. Sometimes I was telling my friend, I think a friend of mine, they got married some years ago, and they're both tech bros. And as I was saying, wow, both of you may give birth to your child and then print the child. So I will tell them, you may code your child and then print out your child from the printer, since you're techie people. So basically, so these are the people they are concerned about, these people who are born into the digital world. And sometimes I'm sure you may be surprised that, excuse me, you can see a child who is 4 or 5 years old, and the guy takes the phone, and he even seems to be more tech savvy than the parents who have the phone. He goes to many things and things like, and he also goes, who taught you? How did you know? This is the person's world. That makes him a native. Now, I just try to show some pictures of some of the tech things that your kids are doing. Some of us know them, some of us don't. I'm sure some of us know some of us don't know, some of us don't know some. But basically, these are the things that our boys are on. And so, just to give an idea. Now, I want you to look at smartphones as a double-edged sword. And then someone gave this definition that I like very much. It says a smartphone offers an in your pocket portal to everything on the internet, some of which would rather they not see. So this basically the smartphone obviously has many good parts, but it also has many parts that we don't want to see. I have put this picture, it's a screenshot. I don't know if some years ago we had a boy, he's Nigerian, who committed suicide because of he was accused wrongly of raping somebody, and because of the whole pressure on Twitter, the fellow went to take his life. So come back to this picture later. Now, when you speak with parents, they basically have some concerns. One, the children waste time online on their phone. They're always pressing. Their schoolwork and their house chores are suffering. They're getting to be addicted to the devices. They're exposed to pornographic and immoral content. They can be subject to cyberbullying and attack, um, the one I mentioned. And also, lastly, it is their world. We cannot beat them at it. But then, and then this is what many parents say that the kids are guilty of. But I always tell myself, even with the adults, if we look at some of these concerns, we are also guilty of them. We have adults who waste time online. We have adults whose professional work and their chores suffer. We also have adults who are addicted to the tech. We also have adults who are exposed to pornographic and immoral content. And we also have adults who are subject to cyberbullying and to attack. So hence, the screen is a powerful device, and we're in a tenor of the dangerous seductivism of the digital world. You know, sometimes when you follow, be it the U.S. Senate hearing or the European Parliament hearing, when they call the CEOs of the tech or the social media spaces to come for public hearings, or even when they call the former staff of these companies to come, then you realize that these apps are actually devised to be addictive because it's to make you talk to it so that they can be turning money, and then we are all victims of it, be it a child or be it an adult. So I think the reason when we all realize that we are all subject to these concerns is when we may now be able to understand the plight of these kids, and they now want to see how to help them better. So while these are the concerns of the digital migrants, we are parents. I have a different concern, and then this is my concern, is that many young people are getting their life ideas, values from the internet through so-called influencers. The digital world and its influencers have become the new parents. In law, they are called in local parents. So, and we have our boys who are becoming individualistic, lonely, consumerist, liquid, and also very prone to following trends. And many times they don't even think for themselves. Sometimes, if you're talking to your boy, you're saying, "Why do you have to do this? Like, can you give out a reason for?" I was speaking to a boy in just three, and he told me to do what my advice. Sir, can you please tell me to get asked me, is it good to have a girlfriend? I told you for me, this is not a yes or no answer. And then I said, why do you want to have a girlfriend? Confusion. And then the fellow didn't know. But they wanted me to say, okay, yes, have one or no, don't have one. If I didn't even know, he may still do it, but I just said, why do you want to have one? Let's just have that conversation. The why. And then he then began to talk, and there was no reason why. And the reason I'm concerned about this is because we have many people who don't have the mental and emotional capacity to accommodate all they receive. The internet is bloody. It can be toxic. And if you check online, we have many young people who are committing suicide because of the bullying and also the whole cyber attacks. So this is my concern actually. The fact that because we have parents who are not involved, the kids are now thrown open to the world. For example, a child comes back home, probably and the parents have gone to work to hustle for the day. So the kid is at home, probably the nanny is there, and then the guy has his phone. So he goes in there to do what he wants to do, good or bad. So this is their own world, really. Now, I always like this post. This was a lady, I think so. This is one of those influencers. And she says, I actually don't think I want to give birth to a child. I love babies and I breed them, but there's no need for them and things like that. And I tell parents, these are the new parents. If you speak to even those in secondary school, they say, sir, I don't want to get married though. Please, women, they have, or whatever they have their woman. Or they tell you, sir, did you see the news? Somebody wanted to get divorced, a footballer, and the woman wanted to take half of his money. So you see, the views of our boys on marriage, on divorce, on values, on hard work, on gender, on sexuality, on life happiness are being formed by their new parents. Last month, we had a boy in SS3, not in White but it's a different school, who left his parents' house. It was like a 3 hour journey. Now, you know what, this is in Lagos. And he went to see a friend who had offered him money if they will have homosexual sex. Now, this boy comes from a reasonably comfortable family. And this fellow offered to give him 3,000 naira. Interestingly, something that his parents could have given him comfortably. So this guy goes to meet his new friend, who he believed was his age mate, and he got there and the guy made the call test. So he was then kidnapped. They videoed him naked and they told him to call his parents for ransom until they release him. This happened last month in Lagos. Well, and then so when they now went back home, they went to the guy's computer, they could see the chats with him and this fellow where they were discussing. And then this is going to be an SS3 student who is going to be preparing for exams next month or next month. So these are things that are happening. So these are the influencers who are somewhat forming our children because since the parents are quite busy, you now have new parents on social media who now help our parents to form their children. Now, I've also, apart from the Twitter and co, we will have the podcast. You'll be amazed how much our kids are listening to podcasts. So now these are three popular people. Some are good, some have some very funny ideas. The last person, Andrew Tate, he's somebody who talks a lot about how to abuse women and things like the prostitution, all kinds of evil against women. And guess what? He has lots of followership. And then when you check the data, it's mostly young people. In Lagos, I think a few years ago, there's a school in VI. There's a lady. So I think after the examinations, the SSPY examinations, some boys took their classmate, a girl, and then they raped her with very painful objects. And we're not thinking, look, how did these boys have these ideas to do such evil things? And we're thinking to obviously what they've been watching and things like that. Especially in the US, is even data proven. When you arrest a person for sexual assault, they always go to the guy's house. When he search his room, check the bed when he finishes, you will always see pornographic materials. And then when you search his phone, they're always there. Reason being that people always have to act out what they have learned in a way of practical. So these are things that happens. So this is just a joke I just put up here to relieve our mood. I don't know if you recall when we had the COVID era and the schools had to go virtual. And then so this was someone's message that her son's school sent a mail that virtual learning start. And meanwhile, this her child is 2 years old. And then she was asked, how can a 2 years old be online to learn? I said, someone who can even sit for 5 minutes to watch. So you can see that. So we just showed you that it's a trend that are going that people have to be online. And so we can't tell them, okay, no gadget, but then how then do we form them to be able to adapt to the modern world in which they are going. Now, people always say that you cannot raise your children the way your parents raised you because your parents raised you for a world that no longer exists. I agree to an extent, though I put trending misconception. To that extent, I don't agree. It's true that um, the accidents may have changed, but the substance still remains. For example, many years ago, when there were no phones, you had people who are fathers now. They could spend the whole day playing football. So that was their own maybe gadget. And well, yeah, you come and study, and the person tell you come and study. So we had similar issues, maybe different specifics, but in those principles are the same thing. So hence, I would encourage parents. The values you have learned from your own parents, they can still be transmitted to your kids, although in a more Gen Z-like, on a more techie passion. Let's not say, okay, things have changed. Hence, let us jettison all the things we learned and then try to formulate new values. Values are the same. They've been the same for, um, uh, for various centuries. And basically, I was just saying that the parents have to be character coaches. I will just keep to the last line and say that we become good and by doing good. In the sense that, so I'm trying to quote Aristotle, who says that a parent has to be a character coach, teaching character skills like self-control. For instance, did a good job in trying to talk about prudence and temperance. So these are things, and then he don't give the example of cake and all those things. Parents have to learn. So basically, I have to be factor of time. Then freedom, we have to teach our boys how to use freedom and then to bear the consequences of their freedom. Many years ago, time I used to give speeches to boys on this stuff of the chastity. I always tell them, look at the US. We have the nominee for Supreme Court Justice who almost did not become a Supreme Court Justice because of what he did in high school. So he was alleged to have assaulted a lady and she came for him. And we have, even in the US, we had senators lose their seats because of things that happened sometimes 50, 60 years ago. Hence, you have to be more responsible. So this is not a thing of sin or no sin, hellfire or heaven. It's a practical thing of today's world that are consequences and actions. People have lost jobs, opportunities because of tweets and so I think it's give them practical things that are happening in today's world. I think there was even a footballer who even lost his man because of the way that somebody videoed him treating the lady bad. So I think so when we give them practical examples of things they are into, football things, oh, this musician down, they can be able to relate that, it's true that we are free to do what we want to do. However, where my right stops, someone else's right begins. Hence, we have to know that we are not unlimited, and then we have to know that there are consequences for our actions. So some key things, obviously not to miss or waste the formative years of our sons. And then lastly, formation does not mean they will not to misbehave. They would, at least for them, we have to see how to do that. Now, in relation to the use of gadgets, how, because the way I'm saying it now, gadgets have come to stay. But then what we can then do is now to regulate the gadgets. For example, so we'll get there. So when you see a child that has a sudden change in behavior, he wants to spend some more time alone or in private while using the gadget, he quickly changes the screen of the computer or mobile phone when you come around. He spends most time staying online at night. He doesn't feel he's already he loses interest in common activities. But in essence, I will say that one key thing of parenting is to be observant. There are many things we see just by being there, just by being observant. Not police, not trying to use the microscope, but just by being there. This fellow has been quiet for a week. What's the problem? This fellow has seen this fellow. So I think when we're observant, there are many things that will come into our eyes. I don't know if there's something happening here. And then from there, we can then begin to change. A solution, something that Father Nelson also mentioned. So what can we do? We have to lead by example. I know this is a very popular picture. So you can see two women. I want to say, how did you get your child to read books? She said, obviously by reading books ourselves. And one key thing is that our parents should not lose their moral authority. Some years ago, we had a boy who was struggling with pornography. So when he opened up and we're trying to help it, okay, that asked him, so how did you get into this stuff in the first place? He said, who is that? Because, what do you mean? So what happened was that when his dad gave him his former phone, the dad did not totally clean up the phone. I know the child was told he went to checking, and then he saw some things that the father had been viewing, and that was how the boy became hung on it. So sometimes, and then because of that, you won't lose your moral authority because kids know these things. I always that today's kids are super intelligent, they are super observant. They know when you're saying something that you don't mean and things like that. So, and also even the kinds of programs that we watch. So these are things that kids, even your browsing history. So when you use a computer and then your child goes after you, he can see what that is doing or what mommy is doing and things like that. So one key thing to navigate this techie age is the communication. We have to tell them the why behind the rules we have made. And like we said before, parents are meant to parent and not just friends. Hence, Peter, you have a phone, and for example, by 10 p.m. or something, please put the phone in my room because you have to sleep. But basically, try to explain to the person the reason behind that. So, and they don't be scared to have rules actually, because anything, TV and things like that. We all grew up with rules. So many years ago, some houses people had padlocks to padlock the television, and then it's true that there many of us were angry with our parents, but now we are all happy for it. And then this is what parenting is about, because you don't parent because being a parent means that you have high effects. Obviously, you pass with it already, so you know the good of the child. The child doesn't even know the next thing. So hence, we have to be able to explain to them and then tell them the why behind the rules. Also, start conversations. You know, I like the picture of the father and the son together. So you can see the very affected look. Try to find out how he's doing. Don't be scared to ask them. I'll give you an example. I think some weeks ago, excuse me, we celebrated, of course, Valentine's Day. Now, I will be shocked if a father didn't ask his child in university or in SS3, for example, oh boy, who's your vow? That is not very vow. But then he knows that, okay, this man is, because I think that in reality, if we go back to secondary school, fathers already in secondary school have girlfriends. They already achieving things already, and then doing many things already. So we should not expect our boys to be different. They are just like us, actually. So we have to have these conversations, and that's when they will now open up to us and then to help us. Now, these conversations cannot be had by the mothers, that is their sons, because a mother was not the one that was being chased by a man. So it is a man-to-man talk, and then to know how to obviously explain many things to him. And sometimes we also have to have very tough conversations to explain things and many things as to sexuality, what's called sexuality, the way to deal with the ladies. I don't know if some of us know there's a rule called the Pence rule. So it's a rule by the former president of the US, Pence, Mike Pence. So Mike Pence, his rule was that when he joined politics, he never went for a meeting with a lady, his wife wasn't there. People told him, why now, why now? But then you see that now, throughout this man's life, nobody's accused him of sexual assault or things like that. So sometimes we have to say, okay, see, these are things I do as a man. Be faithful to your mother in the offices. And so we have to have these conversations so as to prepare them. And even more so when they are going to university in far distant places where they will live on their own, we have to have these conversations with them. Despite being quite tough and a bit awkward, they must be had. They will also have to ask the why of their request. Daddy, I want to buy a laptop, or if okay, what phone do you want to buy? I want to buy iPhone 16 Plus. Okay, why do you want to buy? Okay, first of all, can you ask us how much is the phone? A bit of conversation, and then why do you want this particular phone? Can't you do with less or something? Not just be fine, take or no or yes. It's to have conversation so that they know that, Oga, you don't need this phone or this gadget, but to basically to see how to have these conversations with them to understand, to ask them the why of their request. Help differentiates between important from indispensable. It is good to have a phone or a smartphone for a boy who is on school, but it's not indispensable because there are many boys of his age who don't have phones and they've not died and they've not suffered from anything emotionally, psychologically. And I'm not growing up also, we used to use our parents' phones to call our friends. So you can say for you, the way I'm saying you don't even need a phone. If you want to communicate, I have no issue with you. They can be from the house, or, but then basically to help differentiate that you don't say everything as a need. I must have this, I must have that. We can differentiate or maybe to have data or things and these are things that can be related. You can say, for example, each month you have maybe, for example, 10 gig. But then we have boys who have unlimited data. I'm like, but then what's the guy doing with the data? So these are things that we really have to help to understand. Now, some suggestions we have to, because to round up, we have to balance in our judgment, praise the good parts of digital world, and always criticize the bad parts. We have to beat them at their game, and then so I'll give you an example for this. Some years ago, I took some boys from the club. We went to Portugal and to Spain for an event. So on God of the first day, I said, guys, can you kindly give me your gadgets everything this night? If not, you wake up late tomorrow and then obviously you spoil it. He told me, no, sir, no, sir, okay. And so promise you tomorrow morning will be up and hit all those things. Okay, fine, I say fine. Keep your things, I'm going to dance sleep. And as I imagined, the next day they all woke up extremely late. So the plan for the day was spoiled. So I said, fine, there's no problem. At night, I said, please, we've not made a deal here yesterday. Can you submit your thing? And they all did with no stress because they had been a bet. Okay, if you fail, give it to me. And the next day they all would have. And then throughout the trip, like it was a 10 days trip, the boys slept well, and then they all came up quite early the next morning. And the friend asked me, Peter, just how do you man? I'm like, because there's a parent who had an issue because the son doesn't sleep. I said, yeah, your son doesn't sleep, but you are the one who subscribes from him monthly, Netflix. So how can he sleep when you subscribe with your own money? Is Netflix. And so I think sometimes parents have to tell themselves the truth that we are in a way giving the boy something and then demanding him. So it's a bit funny. You know why he's not sleeping, and you're still continue to to recharge the Netflix even monthly. Also, I think to challenge them to be an upload and not a download generation. Okay, you want to go have a phone computer? I have no issue. What do you want to do? What do you want to contribute to the world of the internet? Because obviously, content. So, what do you want to contribute? Not just I'm downloading. And then they can also see these things not just as leisure tools, but as a work tool. And they should find solutions to problems there, and they can learn from educative materials. This same trip that I went to, so we stayed in a house for the trip, and then so we had a washing machine, we had a dishwasher. So we had our meal because of them we were cooking our meal. So we had the meal. Okay, guys, we have to wash the plate. I didn't wash it. I said, no problem, no wash plate. We have a dishwasher. I said, we can just say, fine. If you never use the dishwasher, go online, get the brand man, and then go and then search for it. And it's true. Oh, that's true. So I think that we also have to see that these things you have are not just for films and games. It's also educative materials. This question to see how they can use these same tools for work, not just for leisure, to see how they can learn from it and also improve themselves. Luckily, now we have the Indians and many people who have lots of material through which they're trying to simplify sciences and many difficult courses for kids. So if your son is not using this gadget, say, Oga, since I'll take it from you because it's not just for films and games, it's also to see how to learn. And I must also see how you're learning from these gadgets and from this exposure that you've gotten. Also, try encourage them not to share indecent materials online to browse in public. Time for usage, obviously, there has to be a time. There's no way that a boy of 14, 15 years old has unlimited freedom and can have his phone whatever time. I know some parents do school periods. no phones or games. And during the holidays, you can take your phone. Beautiful, but then if only during the holiday period, they mustn't have their phone all the time. And they can still be some rules as to when they can have their phone and things like that. Tell them the internet never forgets, not talking to strangers online. And then most importantly, safe, we have search engines for kids. So these are things that parents can also try and see how they can configure on their gadgets. Things that can be done. Then I think one more thing, this of being addicted. So, I think someone said we will have parents who are addicted to their phones. The men probably for work and somebody wants to for a job. Like, you even have many mothers doing like IG. Now they're even moving to TikTok. So sometimes because we can have these distractions. So for example, you can say, okay, maybe even when we do things together, let us not have our phones there. Then I think very importantly to encourage hobbies, outdoor and social activities. Because I think you see, and then most times, okay, like in South Africa, the boys can play football for 3, 4 hours under the hot sun, and nobody even think about the phone. It's so interesting. They are so engrossed in the football. They want to win. They want to dribble. They don't even think about the phone, which shows that if they have hobbies or outdoor activities, their reliance on the digital world, the tech, would also come down. Now, bear in mind that because they are going online or using this stuff with no goal, they can easily go and say, okay, let me check this, let me go there, let me go there. And then we will have pop-ups. So things that even want to entice the kids. So the more we encourage them to do hobbies out of, even if it's art. I remember we had in South Africa, so we during the competition program, so we tried to reduce the academic work and they went into soft skills, things of art and tech, things of the robotics. And you could see a boy spend hours painting. This is beautiful. And they don't think about their phone because they're engrossed in painting. So I think that when we encourage these hobbies or outdoor things, their quest to go online to check what's happening to be on Twitter would also reduce. And as parents, we also have to learn to say no. You think becomes a quest we like and love. So we okay, yes, do I want this one? Some years ago in South Africa, born team in just one and have the latest iPhone. And then people will just one month. Also, sometimes too, some friends also use stuff as a status symbol. Oh yeah, oh yeah, okay, maybe my son has this. But the main thing is to say we have to say no to some requests of the kids. Obviously, browsing and time should be regulated. Now we also have to encourage adequate sleep. So the reason why 'cause, we have our boys not, for example, they come to school. I think the same thing also applies to also professionals. You go to the office and then the guy is sleeping because he has not slept. Because why? Because Friday night he was on YouTube, he was on Netflix. So we have to say that these gadgets will be dropped so you can have adequate 8 to 9 hours of sleep. Because even helps the body mentally and so emotionally. Now we have filters for phones. So these are internet filters that help to guard away things that parents don't want. So I think some even so in my house we have the MTN Wi-Fi, and even from there, we can even try to even block away some sites. So these are things that can get filters. Now I also suggest to parents a child below 18 years old who you giving a phone or a laptop, his gadgets should not be passworded. Even if he does it, the parents should know the password. Now, this has nothing to do with privacy because this child is under your care. Hence, you have a duty to monitor and to guide and then to parent. So we should not say, I know even their safe space is their space, the teenager, I agree. But provided that you've got the guide for the person. So for me, when you have a child, being so protective, my phone, give me my phone. Uh, don't touch my phone. Sorry, it's not your phone. You're using the phone. Okay, I bought the phone. It is my phone. So you put a password that I know or no password at all. So if you do that, then you know there's something criminal and something fishy. And then lastly, I think we have to utilize the parental controls on devices and apps, which are now available everywhere. To conclude, I just want to mention the guy called Kalakuti. Some of us may know about him. He's a millennial. He was born in 1991. He died in 2006. He is going to be canonized, at least for the Catholics. I think we may know what it means to be canonized. So this is a young person who was born in in the digital world, but he knew how to use the gadgets. So he even played game. He did everything that we're all doing now, phones and co. But then he was productive. Despite, I think, 2006, minus, I think, let me just do a quick math. I think he died, minus, sorry for my math. Yeah, I think he was 15 when he died. But then he already knew how to build websites already. And then he even helped the local parish to build their website. He did many things with his skills. He was coding, he helped build a website for Miracle, all kinds of things that was doing basically. Now, like I said previously, the internet, this device is the double-edged sword. It can be used for good, it can be used for bad. Hence, I think so. Kalakutis is saying to us that basically, can we help our boys to learn how to be an upload, people that want to contribute, not just be there for leisure and then to download. I think with that, will be very fast. So with that, I think I'm done. And thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Many thanks to our speakers. Father Innocent did a powerful job there on sexuality and the role of parents. He also made sense a lot in trying to help us understand what sexuality is, as how it affects our behavior as human beings, as men, and as women. Mr. Nwachukwu, on the other hand, has done justice in trying to help us understand the role of parents in educating their children in the use of internet. It's a pool of resources, the good, the bad, the ugly. He's having us understand how to filter out and take the good and leave out the bad. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to this point of question and answer. You ask the questions and our speakers will do justice to them by answering them. It's important that we understand the world we're living in. Family is under attack. Society generally is undergoing a lot, and it boils down to one thing. If we want to solve the problems of the society, we need to go back to the family. This is what the discussion this evening is all about. I am amazed, I must confess, that the two sessions have been long, but I can't see people leaving in large numbers. This tells me how much you've taken away from this conversation. On YouTube, we have over 100 participants. Here we have over 90. It was actually 100. I think a couple of persons may have, left, but we still have a high number here. If you have your questions, you can have them rolling in, type them in the chat box, and then we read them out to the speakers, and you can be sure that they will do justice to them by answering them. Q&A. Any questions for our speakers? You can indicate by raising your hand. The emojis are there for you to do that. Is it that the lectures were so good and comprehensive and no need for questions? Our speakers are good lecturers, no? Maybe. I don't know. But any questions? By the way, comments coming in, okay, fine. I can see this people are not properly named. One is Galaxy J6, the other one is iPhone device. I'm going to take the first one here in no particular order anyway, but I think Galaxy will come first. So please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, my name is Steven. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. I think the lectures were so comprehensive, very clear, and mine is not a question but appreciation. So I say thank you and kudos to the presenters.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I told you, we have wonderful teachers here, you know. Okay. Okay. So I think the iPhone person wanted to say the same thing. That's why the hand is now down. So any other person? Any question? Any comment? Anyone? Okay, the day has been fast spent. This is 7:51. If there are no questions, we may want to close. Okay, I think Tope Adeyemi is raising his or her hand, I think. Let me see. Okay. You can go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to thank the speakers for the very detailed presentations. It was really an eye-opener. Mine, I want to just seek clarification in terms of where to draw the line between, being friends with with one's children and then parenting, at times you don't want to appear too strict, while trying to pass the message, so are there signs or things to watch out for to let one know, oh, okay, this is going too far, or oh, you are being too strict, or oh, you are being too friendly, which, may make them not take you serious in terms of whatever instructions given in line with regulating their time on screen, in terms of time on the internet and the phone, on the TV and all that. So just to probably get more information on, striking a balance while maintaining that cordiality of friendship and, and being a good parent. Thank you very much. Wonderful presenters.
Okay, great. I'm filtering your question. I'm trying to see who that question applies to more between the two speakers. And I think it goes more to Mr. Nwachukwu because he ended up with devices, the use of devices. So, Mr. Nwachukwu, please. That's for you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Deyemi, for the question. But like I said earlier, we may not be able to find that very strict rule to be able to know the difference or to know when one is being strict or when one is being friendly. But just thinking, having conversation. Now, let me give an example for Tina, the screen. With Cassie's mom, she had two kids. So one day she went to work as a cleaner in the house of a professor. And she asked the fellow, do you mean to tell me that I read all those books? And the fellow said yes. So she went and said, gentlemen, these guys that you watch on TV, why do you watch them on TV? Obviously, because they have something to deliver. Hence, if you want to be watched on TV, you have to study and to be able to have something up there to tell the world. And that was when they then began to read their books and then to study. So I think so. These are kind of conversations that I have with kids that, Oga, you have to study to be able to be who you want to be able to be the person in the media, to be able to speak to people. Second, okay, fine. Why can't I hide my phone throughout the night or something? Because you have to sleep. So I think so. These are the kind of conversations that sometimes give reasons. Now, they may not be convinced by that reason, at least by that age. Because if you look at them 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, they will not be able to understand many things. And even when we're thinking to ourselves personally, many of us even understood the things that parents did for us much later in life, while in university or even as professional, and then we then began to value it more. But then by that stage, I think it's better to err at the point of not being liked, but then doing the right thing, but then to be liked, but then doing the wrong thing as a parent. So I think this may guide people in knowing how to err towards extreme.
Very good. So, Mr. Tope, I don't know if that answers your question. Okay, Mr. or Mrs. Nadi is asking a question. After her, I will take questions from YouTube. We have 2 questions from YouTube. Mrs. Nadi, please.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you so much, the speakers. It was really enlightening. I made an observation. The chat box is disabled. So I think you can enable it so people can write their questions. Most people may not be willing to speak out so I don't know if that was deliberate or if it is accidental. Then secondly, I also want to know, what role can mothers play in sexuality education for their sons? Or is it just the fathers that are allowed to do so? Thank you.
Okay, a good question there. I will channel that to Father Innocent. Father, respond, please.
Yeah, I think it's the role of both parents. It's not only the father, in the sense that the preparation for sexual education is the whole family affair. The education within the family, because that's where the children, first of all, have the experience of what love is all about. That love is unconditional, and that love is forever and all that. But maybe the speaking and concretely about sexual education could be handled by the father. And when the father is not present, then the mother can do quite a lot on that. But there's ways that, man looks at the world, and also there's a way that a woman looks at the world. So that's the only thing that also have to be taken care of. But the whole thing is both parents. The kind of home you build, that your life itself, living together, explains what love is all about. And that's the children assimilate it as just like a culture in the home. And then they use it to assess the other things that they receive, and or criticize the negative information that they receive from outside. So the mothers have a great role to play in this the whole thing of sexual education.
Fantastic. Fantastic. There are comments coming in from one of our, okay, there's a comment from one of the participants. He is appreciating all the speakers and requesting that the slides be shared so that they can maybe afterwards have time to digest them. I think that's a good suggestion or request. So I'm going to take some questions from YouTube. One of them is coming from Francis Nwadike. He is asking what proper way it is of mentoring a young boy. Francis Nwadike is seeking to know the proper way to mentor a young boy. Let me also take the one from Kalis. Kalis, no surname, is asking to know what safe search engines exist for teenagers so that you don't go there as a teenager and you're worrying your head that you will be exposed to some inappropriate content. So the last question from Kalis will be thrown to Mr. Joshua, first one for the Innocent. And since I'm taking YouTube, I'll just probably have a couple of them so that you can react to them in that order. But I am wondering how you can get all of them. But let me see. Maybe I'll take just 2 more. This one is coming from Jason. Jason and Zara Word. I don't know what the names are, but they are asking, they said this question goes to Father Innocent. Please, I need you to speak more on how to introduce the subject. How to see the subject. I don't know how he wants to put this, but I think to see our voice. No, okay. Sorry, if you're listening to me, Zara and Jason, I can't really figure out the last part of your sentence. It's not quite clear. It sounds a bit vague. So I think the second question is coming from them, saying, is there any strict or any way one can restrict certain search engines on our devices? One day I caught my kids doing their assignment using ChatGPT. From their attitude, they didn't see anything wrong. So this is from intellectual perspective. How do kids view the use of internet to just provide them with direct answers to assignments? And this parent is expressing that concern that the children did not say anything wrong with using ChatGPT to do assignments or feed them directly with the answer. Mikey J is asking, he said, parents have challenges in leading conversations on sexuality. Are there practical tips to assist parents? For example, that tough conversation that Mr. Nwachukwu referred to. I think the last two questions will go to Mr. Joshua Nwachukwu. The first one, two questions. Okay, one from Francis Nwadike is on the proper use of, or the proper mentoring of a young boy. That will go to Father Innocent. And Carlis is asking to know if there are safe search engines and if Mr. Nwachukwu can mention them. So let me go to Father Innocent. When you react, Mr. Joshua Nwachukwu will come in. Thank you, Father.
Yeah, mentoring for young people, obviously, as you know, there are different ways. We have mentioned Joshua emphasized on the issue of parents' friendship. And the same thing is the father-mother friendship. So the children, they grew up seeing their parents as friends, the way they relate with each other, the way they interact, they talk, and then things like how the two of them speak with one voice in everything that happens in the home. So it's not one saying one thing and the other one saying another, or one being the one that everybody obeys and fall in line. No, the two of them, they are people who understand that they have a mission. The family has a mission and they are there to fulfill that mission. So the children, they learn it, and then the parents start also grooming the children in friendship, training them how to be selfless in the way of doing things, how they treat the other person, overcoming all forms of selfishness. And then as they grow, it reaches to say that the parents have to learn how to spend quality time with each of the child, to find time to speak alone with the child, not in general. You just take this person out, this is your time to speak and all that. When you develop that, you always find reasons, and then the child will know that this is my time with my dad, or this is my time with my mom. So there are things we discuss, and this is our own time. No other person, not daddy or mommy interferes with our time. So with that, you cultivate that friendship and things will come out. And there's something also I would like to chip in when it comes to friendship, that yes, don't be afraid to be a friend. Sometimes the teenagers will challenge your authority. Don't worry. Don't worry. The things you gain by being a friend is much more than safeguarding your authority, in the sense that when the teenager reaches that age of seeking independence, wanting to be adult, and he or she looks at you as a friend, is you that he or she will open up to. So you, in the long run, you gained much more than emphasizing my authority. You have to, I mean, look at God. God allows us to challenge his authority. It is always there waiting for us, open hands waiting for us. So the same thing, parents. Yes, sometimes you feel bad that your child is challenging your authority and all this. Don't worry. Yeah. Maintain that friendship, maintain the role of friendship and all that. Every other thing will fall in line. So I think I'm okay with that.
Okay, great. I think that also should answer the question of Mr. Tokwe, because he's asking if father says something different, the mother says something different. I think father, in the course of responding, has done justice to that. A close question to that, since father is the one speaking, let me add this to it. Vince is asking, he is asking, for parents who live apart, how can the gap be bridged through proper parenting for the male child or both gender? This is because if one partner is living apart, especially the father who travels a lot and has a lot of work, so he's trying to find out how the gap between parents who are living apart can be bridged in the upbringing of their children, male or female.
Well, that gap will never exist if the two of them always speak with one voice. That's the thing that comes with the friendship between the two of them. So if a father is insisting on something, what the mother will not do is to challenge the authority of the father, or vice versa. Wait, there are times that two of you alone, you can talk over those things. Don't criticize your spouse for a decision he or she has taken about the children. So what the child wants to see from that two of you are always speaking one voice. For example, a lady was telling me that while they were growing up, she was in secondary school. And then the mother takes the decision that as soon as the holidays, they come back from holidays, the mother will send all the domestic staff away. Say, oh, all of you should go back to your parents' house and spend the holidays with them. And then this lady was saying they were complaining. Because why? We want to rest. We have come home to rest. And the child said, no, I have trained these people's children for these past 3 months. It's now my turn to train you. And then they will go to their father to complain. Look at what our mom is doing and all that. And the mom will say, you know your mother. In this sense, I cannot enter. So go and sort it out with her. So that is it. So the father is always on the side of the mother, even if he doesn't agree with the decision that the wife has taken. That's how he has to do. So it's not a question of distance. The distance, I mean, if two of you are always in good talking to each other, you talk by phone, talk by everything, I bet. It's not that the mom say no to this, and then you give the permission. The children always look for those loopholes in order to, disorganize the running of the home.
Fantastic. So, well, maybe I should just add this. This will be the last question from this end, and then I will refer the other questions to Mr. Nwachukwu, who will respond. And maybe with that, we'll close the session because this is already 9 minutes past 8. Justice has been done to this topic well. So let's see. This question is coming from Zara again. He's asking, he said the topic of sex has been very difficult to introduce to the children. I think she's trying to find out, it's not about sex in terms of gender, it's about sex as an activity. She's trying to find out how to introduce this kind of topic to the children.
Well, it depends on their level of understanding. If we are talking about teenagers, maybe in school they have been taught about the biology, the sexual organs and all this. So what I'm saying that all these things, they fall in line with the whole tone of the family life. So the man and the woman living together, what are you guys doing? How do we come into the world? How does a child come into the world? And then he explained all those things, what love is all about, what friendship is all about, what commitment is all about. And then why you are not going to have sex now. The whole thing of saying, I'm preparing a gift. I possess this gift. I'm going to give it to someone. So what are you going to give to your wife on your wedding night? What are you going to offer to your husband on your wedding night? You are going to offer the person, I'm just here. What is precious that you're offering? So all these things come with a whole understanding about who we are. That I'm a gift from God. First of all, I'm a gift. And then I appreciate that I'm a precious gift. So I'm not just a gift that anybody can come and experiment. And then when they don't like it, they drop me. I am not that. I'm not an orange. So when one understands the parents, it explains these things that this is who you are. You are precious. So that is only the person that understands how precious you are, is the person that is worthy to allow you to accept you as that gift. So, but if the person doesn't understand that you are precious, that you are just one more individual out there, then so that's what you explain, you yourself understanding. That's what I offer to my husband, or I offer to my wife, and then the same thing you explain to them. There's no need to start, being shy about it. Explain it, because if you don't explain, they have to learn it from outside. Like Joshua said, they will learn it from the influencers. If we don't teach our children the whole thing about sexual education, they are going to learn it from somewhere. And often they learn that it's nothing, it's just fun, it's just a way, it's part of the package of friendship. If you're my girlfriend or if you're my boyfriend, this is the whole package. If the sex is not included in the package, it's not. Then obviously it's like, what is it? Is that, no, you are not valuable. Yeah, this sex is just something that you use. It's a way of using people, and then when you are tired, you're done. And so I think you can do quite a lot. But obviously, first, the initial stage it will be awkward. But if you are sincere, if you are truthful, with time you master the art.
Great. Mr. Mikey J, if you're listening, I think Father Innocent has also done justice to your question where you wanted to know how parents can have really tough conversations on sexuality. This last comment actually clarifies that, I think, to some extent. Before I give this turn to Mr. Nwachukwu, I would like to inform those who requested for slides. Please, you send we're going to share the message. Let me see if I can probably forward it. Maybe Mr. Andreze, you can share your link, your email here in our chat interface, so that then those who requested for slides can get them. So he's going to send the slides to those who specifically would like to have them. So you send your email, send Mr. Andreze a mail with a message to that very effect of requesting for the slides, and you're sure to get them. We'll go back to the few questions on the use of internet. One is on the use of safe search engines, if they exist, and what are they. The other person is asking about what softwares or applications to install on devices to actually mitigate inappropriate content from being revealed when teenagers surf the net. I think basically those are the questions coming from the side of Mr. Nwachukwu. Mr. Nwachukwu, you may want to react to this.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Let me just start from the first question someone asked us, the role that women can play. I think one role that our mothers can play is trying to help their sons to see girls as their sisters and also their mothers. That helps a lot. because when you speak to boys who engage in all amongst kinds of things, you always have two kinds of women. First, my mother, my sister. Oh my God, those ones are angels, not to be touched, and all those things. And then the other girls. So I think imagine that they can help to say, treat ladies the way you would want me to be treated, and also how your sisters will be treated. That goes a lot to show that there's a bit of equality among women, not just my mother and the other girls or things like that for my sisters. I think that helps a lot to help to form their minds that all girls are like my sisters or my cousins or like my mother. Now, the question of the apps or what can be used to filter the internet. Now, most antiviruses have the option. So when you go to the settings, it's there. Also, when you go to your Google search, it's also there. Also, you can also know how to do the whole thing for safe search. Even YouTube also has for kids. Then, but if you want a proper app, there's an app called Covenant Eyes. Covenant as well as Covenant and Eyes. It's online, and it can help you to also. So I think you have to pay for it also. But then that one is also good because it will help you to even, for example, to install it, your kids have to put someone's email address where the data is sent. So it's a bit of also to enhance, to promote transparency. And also, like I mentioned during my presentation, some Wi-Fi's and Wi-Fi's even have that possibility. I got recently the MTN 5G, what's it called? The package. They even have the option of blocking some sites actually. So I think modern things already have those provisions for you to be able to block. As to the question as to AI and doing assignments. Now, this is a very tricky question. Recently, this question came up this week. We had the dedicators roundtable on Thursday at Museum Center, and then this topic was actually discussed how parents can deal with the AI. And this one said AI has come to stay, ChatGPT has come to stay, and clearly it's making work easier and faster. So we have to help the kids. Okay, that's I think so. Two things. Okay, you may want to block AI. Sorry, to block the ChatGPT. But then we will have many more that you don't know about. So I think the main thing is to say, okay, see, this is a tool. It's true, it can save you time, everything easier. But then you don't learn from this. So you can use it to consult, but please try and solve yourself. It's like, for example, I don't know, I know then we had those things that had the answers behind. They'll tell you, try not to look at the back of the answer. Solve first prior to checking the back. So it's this something that will be something that the parents have to confess. But then what we agreed then was that the teachers and the school, that the teachers and even people in university and even studying school, now have to learn how to test differently, to test cognitively. Because, for example, if we say 2 plus 2, obviously, yeah, okay, they'll give you 4, but then we now have to know that okay, since this stuff is done this way, how can we test this person knows by giving a different question? To give you a personal example, in my final year in university, we had a lecturer who just came back from Harvard, I think. So his question was 2 pages, story, basically. And then the guy tells you, please read this question for at least 30 minutes. If you understand this question, you can answer it in 1 page in less than 50 minutes. And then this kind of test, you have 2 options. You fail well or you pass well. And then this one, there's no cheating I can do because you have to take. But then we say, define what is photosynthesis. Obviously, you'll get the answer. But then to be able to write a question as a story, they put many things. Somebody went to plant the grass and the guy didn't water it and it was in a sack, there was no sunlight. So when you do that narrative, ChatGPT will not be able to deduce what you want to get from it. So I think everything has come to stay. To try to engage and say it's a tool for work, but please consult it because when you use it the whole time, it damages your cognitive stuff. So you want to be creative. So hence, try to do your own, then consult it. But I think the job next for for teachers to see how they can test differently. Then I think I saw something as to what, sorry, just a second. I think I saw a question as to what happens when you have a father staying far away. I think.
Yeah, Father Innocent addressed that actually.
Okay. I think
There's
that's
a
all right.
question on how many safe search engines like Google has Google Edge and us. Are there safe ones for teenagers?
Yeah, you will have one called Brave, Brave. Brave is also good because Brave doesn't allow you to even bring pop-ups. Brave. It's called Brave. So you have many of them. I think maybe what we can do is probably we try and compare and then send to school and then we share with also parents. Maybe that what can be done. But then also when you have the antivirus in computers, if you go to settings, many of them already have the options to block some sites.
Yeah. Okay, very well. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's session. Let me quickly mention that the parents or participants who have sent their emails here, we may not be able to harvest them because this is a recorded session anyway. If we are to play the recording again to get these emails, it will be until we get to this very point or the time slot that you sent the emails here. So this channel is not the best place for you to send the email. Mr. Andrew Eze has sent his official email. So the best way is to send him a short message indicating that you need the slides. That way he can reply directly to you and then send it to you specifically without going through the rigors of copying differently and pasting for that. So I think that will help. Please copy his email. His email is here. Mr. Andrew Eze has sent his email here. So do well to go through the chat interface to copy. And in case you haven't got that, andrew.eze@ysans.org.ng. andrew.eze@ysans.org.ng. Of course, you know you don't have to space that or write in all caps. Okay, good. So we have effectively come to the end of our session. I want to appreciate all the participants. I want to appreciate the organizers. It has been quite engaging, and I'm very thrilled because, I mean, the number of participants, the quality of participation, the questions, the speakers did a wonderful job in the course of taking us around the topic of sexuality. What an interesting topic. And I want to believe that all our participants learned a lot. I just want to quickly add that in addition to talking about ChatGPT, there is a particular AI tool that when you search, it doesn't give you answers. It only guides you. Talking about Shepherd, you may want to check out Shepherd. Shepherd is a very good AI tool that you can use. It doesn't give the researchers or students direct answers. It doesn't give you, it only provides you a guide. It guides you on how to give answers and all of that. So I mean, there could be other tools like that, but Shepherd is quite good. Maybe you want to consider that too. But thank you very much for everything you've done. The speakers, wonderful speakers, thank you for the administrative work. And of course, our participants, our parents, our students, thank you so much for coming. And especially that today has been a very hectic day because of our inter-house. You still found time to come here. I also understand we have friends from Hill Range who joined us. Wonderful people, wonderful people. Thank you all. We started with a prayer. We will end with a prayer. Fortunately for us, we have a priest in the house. Father, over to you. Thank you.
In the name of the Father, Son, of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
We give you thanks, Almighty God, for this time we have been with you. We also ask you to grant us the grace so that we can put into work all the things that we have learned in this session. May we also grant us the grace to uproot all the weeds in our homes and in our hearts that prevent us from allowing love to flourish in our relationship with the children and with the other people in the house. We also ask you, as we are about to leave, to continue to guide us, to protect us, and direct the course of our life to the greater glory of the name. We ask all this through Christ our Lord. The Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank
Bye.
you. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.